numbers. So let's, oh, looks like we're all streaming live now. Okay, good. So we'll call this to order, and we'll start with number one, approval of the agenda. So be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Center Advisory Committee hereby approves the agenda dated October 6th, 2021 as presented. We need a mover.
I'll move.
I moved by Caroline, and a seconder, and Mary. All in favor? And the motion passes. Great. Okay. Number two, disclosure of pecuniary interests and the nature thereof. If anyone has anything that they need to bring up as the meeting progresses that they find themselves in conflict of interest, please just make yourselves known. Three, approval of the previous minutes from April 6th, 2021 and June 1st, 2021. Be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Center Advisory Committee hereby approves the minutes dated April 6th, 2021 and the meeting notes dated June 1st, 2021 as presented. We need a mover. Councillor Walker, and a seconder. Caroline, all in favor? Yay, thank you. Motion passes. Business arising from the minutes. Anything that we need to address, or can we jump right into our youth coordinator report? All right, Courtney, it's all yours.
Excellent, thanks, Ben. So there's a few updates as well as some things I'd like to discuss with the committee. So just some program updates. It's been a while since we've spoken, and we've since been able to reopen the center full time, which has been excellent and successful thus far. So for the first point, so we are still implementing our activity kits. So we are doing 75 a month. We just sent out October's activity kit this week to 75 doors across the township, and it was like virtually sold out within a day. So it still is very popular. Because you now need to prove full vaccination to enter the youth center, we are going to continue offering the kits on a monthly basis to just account for those youth that are not able to prove vaccination, or two, are not comfortable yet returning. So we were going to do quarterly, but we've decided to stay monthly, as obviously they're so successful. And I've already got a whole flood of emails and texts from parents, and they just love the kit. So we're happy to continue doing that. It's such a great service we can continue to offer. So a bit of a going backwards. So we had a really successful summer this year with some new programming. So we opened the center twice a week during the day, and we were always busy every day, as well as we started a new park program. So we intended to be in Creemore, New Lowell, and Stayner on a weekly basis outdoors. So one, that was for COVID. Two, because it's something we've always wanted to do, just go take the programming to the youth in the other communities. Creemore, we tried with no success, so we dropped that location, but we were able to continue for a full 8 weeks in New Lowell and Stayner with great participation. Another program we created this summer, which will continue, was called the Eco Park Trailblazers. It was a bit of one, utilizing a great facility within Clearview, and two, we wanted to create a volunteer opportunity as well as teach good environmental sustainability and participation for youth after I'm sure it was public that there was some damage and some vandalism done at our Eco Park. And so we wanted to kind of create a program to create some positivity around that and the responsible ownership of our facilities. So we had 7 youth that came continuously through the summer. They were like our trailblazers, park rangers. So they did, it was all volunteer hours. So we had a lot of youth that were like going into grade 9 or grade 10. We had some youth that were able to apply those volunteer hours to other things in their life as well, which was great. So we hope to continue programming in the Eco Park in the future, and definitely this upcoming summer. So we were really happy with that program. So in terms of numbers, numbers have been steady. We were right when the vaccination requirement started, our numbers really dropped. but they've just really influxed again this week. So on average, I say we're seeing from 2 to 10 youth a night. It really depends. Like a Friday is typically quieter, but tonight there's 9 youth that are back there right now. So we have a capacity of 10. So sometimes we will see more than 10 as they are allowed to kind of come and go. So some will come for a little bit after school. Some will come later in the evening after they've gone home and had supper, as well as we've been able to get back to regular programming. So we're doing cooking classes again. We're doing all of those in-person things we've missed out on for that last year and a half. So it's really nice to see that come back. And the biggest thing is I'm so thankful that although the vaccination requirement is tough because there are some youth that are not vaccinated, so they can't come, but we're still able to be open. And so with that vaccination requirement, we did include something that youth could still pop into the building for up to 15 minutes to come talk to us if they required anything, whether that be food or mental health services or anything. So we just wanted to make sure that was an effort on my behalf to ensure that we didn't block any youth from services regardless of their vaccination status. So I've been happy with the numbers. I think that we're going to have to do a significant amount of rebuilding with our membership base. It's been nice to see, and I've seen a steady trickle in the last 4 weeks of those youth coming back that I haven't seen in a year and a half. And so I think it's just going to take time. I've connected with Ben, thankfully, to be able to start connecting with the teachers at the schools as well. And just be able to talk to them, hopefully virtually, maybe do a bit of a walkthrough of a Zoom or something, and get that new group of youth knowing about what we're doing. So we're still serving grades 7 to 12, and on Thursdays we serve grade 6s, and that's been really successful as well, actually, because it's letting them kind of come in one night a week and get to see what it's all about. And they're really looking forward to going into grade 7 so they can come full time, which is good. And we are also running our first outing this month as well to Halloween Haunt. And we actually have quite a few signups already, which is great. So I'm happy that we can do that. And I'm also happy that it's being received well, which is good. The other kind of really positive thing is we received a $4,000 grant from EPCOR locally, and it's to run safety courses for youth. So with that money, we're going to be offering 2 free first aid and CPRC courses in November. One will take place on a Saturday, one will take place on a PA day. And we have 20 spots in total. So it's just another excellent opportunity to be able to offer free courses through a generous donation from EPCOR to be able to do that. So we've put that through our channels. It's out in the community. Ben has it, the school has it. And we've already got a couple signups. So I'm hoping to, by November, we'll have 20 signups, which is good. So any questions on programs before I move to the new business? No. I have my camera minimized, so I just wanted to make sure, but no, we're good. Okay, perfect. So new business. So we'd like to propose moving to a new committee structure for the next term, which would take place at the term of council. So this term of council ends kind of around now next year. And we'd like to propose moving our committee structure to a youth-based committee. So this is something I know has come up in past committee meetings in a discussion among members. It's something I've always really felt passionately about as well. And I just think, when I think of where a lot of you folks started and I started, 2.5 years ago to where we are now, it just feels really like the most natural next thing to do is to integrate youth into our committee. If you do look at surrounding municipalities, most of them offer a youth committee if they're offering youth services. It would be a fantastic, I'm just pulling up the actual terms of reference. So it would be an excellent volunteer opportunity for youth, as well as to be able to offer an opportunity for youth to have experience in municipal government as well. So what we are suggesting is that the committee would consist of a maximum of 5 members. 3 of those would be youth members between the ages of 14 and 18. We would have 1 adult representative over the age of 19 as a community member, and then 1 council member. And it would just be a quarterly meeting, so 4 times a year, because we wouldn't want to ask for too much commitment from the young people. And it would be a 4-year term, similar to what you folks agreed to 3 years ago. And so I'm interested to hear if anyone has any feedback, how they feel about it. I know the deputy mayor is not here tonight, but I was able to have a conversation with him as well. And he thought very positively about it. And it was actually his recommendation about adding the adult representative as somebody from our community member. So that was that got integrated into the possible terms of reference. So, but I'm happy to just open the floor if anyone has questions, suggestions, and I see Ben.
Yeah, Courtney, I just wanted to speak to that as well. Courtney and I had talked about this a little bit previously, and I think that my feeling is that this would be the right move for this committee for 2 reasons. One, and primarily, the big focus is that involvement of youth, to have this as a youth-driven committee. I know in the past we've tried to say we need a youth rep to be part of this and to sit on this committee and give input. And that's had mixed results over the how many ever years we've had this running. I think to have a committee that was largely based on youth, that they could see this as their committee, I think would be very positive and would encourage that participation. Second is going back, and for many of you who've been here since the start, Mary, even though you weren't part of this committee, you were a part of this committee from the beginning, and you were involved in this youth center from its conception. The committee began for the purpose of getting this youth center established and running and on its feet. And when it was just an idea that, Barry and Robert were presenting to council, and so the fact to have it at this stage now, I think we are at that kind of the twilight of this group in terms of mission accomplished. This youth center has come such a long way, has had a complete change in terms of its structure, personality, the way it runs, its efficiency, the crew. It's like this, the job's done by this committee. This baby's running. So I think in my opinion, I feel it is time to look at a shift like this. Did anyone else have thoughts or want to weigh in or at this time?
I think that sounds great. That sounds like a really natural progression into helping them take ownership of their place and feeling a part of it. And I think that does sound like a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I would just
go ahead, Robert. I was waiting for you, Robert, to go first, and then I was gonna tie it off.
You go ahead, Mary.
I don't disagree. I think it's a great idea. Of course, my mind automatically goes to logistics. Do you have the interest? Do you know what the application and the review process is like? I'd be interested to see the terms of reference, just because I am a logistics kind of project management person, but I completely agree that I think it would be great to have the youth involved. They've got the leadership they need with you, Courtney, and with your team. And then obviously there's going to be a counselor to make sure that everything's okay from, Clearview's end. So yeah, I'm in absolute favor of it, but I just wondered if the process had been thought out, because we have had difficulty maintaining, with the exceptions of that one young man who was involved in the beginning, having somebody come around consistently. Now that may be because kids don't want to sit with a bunch of adults. That's that may not be the case if they get to run it all themselves. So sorry for that.
And I can answer a little bit logistically speaking. So we've been having this conversation for a little bit now. Just we did speak from the logistics on kind of our end and how we would make that move. And why I'm bringing it forward now is just is more preemptive. I'm hoping to get a recommendation on the table to make this shift. And then logistically wise, I was hoping to do that before my leave, so that while I'm away, whoever is my replacement will be able to take it to council with that recommendation to move that forward. And then it would go through, I believe, Councillor Walker, you might be able to support me in this. It would go through the same process that a regular committee of council does. So it would be advertised, and then council selects the applicants. Am I correct in saying that, Councillor Walker?
Yes, that's how the process has been running. Yes.
Yeah, and I would hope that, you know, the difference this time maybe versus last time with getting members is just the broader advertising, you know, power that we would have as a municipality, as well as the built-in membership that we have. I can think on hand a few 14 to 18-year-olds that I would love to advertise this to and get their buy-in as well. And I, you know, would hope that would make a bit of a difference for getting some applications and just having the municipality as, you know, a backing for those applications as well. And, you know, I would hope that logistically wise, but it would be treated no differently than the process that happens with any committee of council, where they are selected, they have to apply, and then they go through all the same regulations that the other committees of council do go through. And I'm sure that we can share the draft terms of reference, unless Kayla, is there any issue with that?
The draft terms of reference have actually been sent out as supplementary documentation to this agenda. So you all have it in your email.
Perfect. I'm sure it'll probably be in the minutes as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ben, you hit it right on the head when you said earlier, the committee started with the adults, and the whole idea was to get to this point. Now we've got to this point. I think it's important that the youth now take control, somewhat control, with a bit of guidance from adults and a council rep, and operate their facility. If you've got them involved in making decisions, you're more likely to have them want to be there, want to keep the system, want to keep the facility going. They help set the rules, they help set the programs. Then they're going to be ambassadors to the rest of the youth out there and get them pulled in, because they're part and parcel of the overall picture of operations. So I think it's so important that we've gone from the adult version. We're now to a point where we can kind of back out as adults and let the youth operate and help run their own facility. And I think it's a great move and fully supported on my end. And I know Barry is as well. So we're very supportive of this direction.
Okay, now, Courtney, at this time, were you thinking that, like you had mentioned, that you want to try to get something established to move forward and get the wheels in motion in the near future? Or are you thinking that would require like a motion by this committee at this time to move forward, or?
Yeah, so we would take, we will go to council in the new year, as in not me, but the new me, along with, you know, some other staff members as well, to ask for this change for the next council term. And it would be very helpful if we did have a recommendation from the committee supporting the change, the different structure of the committee. And it would just, I think, because council will probably ask how the committee feels about it and if they support it, and if it has been discussed. And if it has been discussed and supported and recommended, then it should just be an easy approval process. So to answer your question, yes, if possible for today, unless folks are feeling like they need more time to think about it or more information.
That's my only thought, is that the committee might want some time to review those terms of reference to be able to just to look it over and kind of give their input based on their own experiences with this committee, potential pitfalls that people might see that you know, just to give it due diligence before we go ahead with a motion, unless everyone thinks that we're in a spot where we can say, yeah, it looks good. The logistics are things we can work out together in the future. I guess really, like, we don't typically look to see how do we feel about doing a motion? We just do a motion. So,
I would suggest we can do a motion, because I don't think, I
Okay.
mean, if anything, we're gonna just end up maybe providing some suggestions for the terms if there's something that we see, but it's not gonna preclude us from, saying, yes, this is something that should be done, because it sounds like we're all in agreement.
right. And so I've just got a message here that this could look something along to the lines of, be it resolved that the Clearview Youth Advisory Committee hereby recommend council consider a youth-based committee beginning for the next term of council. And if we're on board with that, we would need a mover.
I'll move.
Okay, by Caroline, and a seconder.
I'll second.
Mary, all in favor? All right, it looks like we're all on board with that. So the motion passes. Excellent, great.
Just out
I
of
think that'll-
curiosity, when is the term? Sorry, I just was listening to the motion and you said it would be.
I think the start of the next term, I believe, is next November, and I think it coincides with the municipal election scheduled. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's next fall will be an election for a new 4-year term of council, and our committees of council follow the same schedule. So you folks still have a year to complete, and that's why when you talk about those logistics and it being a draft of we still do have time to go through those things. It's just more from a logistic standpoint. It's good just to have that recommendation so we can move forward with gaining approval from council, because sometimes those things just take time. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Other than that, from my report, that would be it, unless anyone had any questions about how things are here, or any questions about the future, or.
Just with your regards to the terms of reference, that is still something that we can, as a committee, review and make necessarily changes if possible, because those terms of reference are still just basically a draft at this point, until such time as we're ready to proceed next summer, maybe with advertising, or the fall with advertising, or it might not even happen till the new council takes over, and then that advertising might take place. So some committees may not start till the following January or February after an election, because you do that after the new council has been formed. So but the terms of reference, something that we can certainly review. If we feel there needs to be any tweaking, then that can be done prior to. So I think we're good with what we've done to this point on that.
And Councillor Walker, the terms of reference, while we might be able to give some input, those are things that would be approved by council, right?
Yeah, and I would think the terms of reference would likely have to go through human resources as well, to make sure that I think a lot of that stuff all the committee stuff goes through that as well, to make sure that it is okay. Properly set up, and it is suitable.
Okay. I see on our agenda, we've got two pieces. We've got 6.1 virtual meeting and 6.2 vaccination policy. I'm not sure if those are just memos that we're to review that were attached to the agenda. And I think we had that from and I believe, just to summarize, is the idea that based on the recommendation from the Simcoe Muskoka Health Unit, they were recommending that committees of this nature continue in a virtual nature because of the stoppage of stage 3 by the province. So I don't know if there was anything more to add or any action that we need. I guess just as long as the committee's aware of that while we're meeting virtually still. So
just to add to that, council have made a motion that we are meeting virtual till January 1st at this point. So it's virtual for that. So, and that was pretty well addressed to all committees as well. So to go that route. Now, I do believe there are some of the small halls that are able to meet, or that are meeting, but there's only 4 or 5 members in their meeting in properly according to COVID rules and regulations. But most are still doing on the virtual.
very good. Okay, so then I guess the only thing left to address is our next meeting. I think we've been fairly successful looking at kind of every other month as a schedule for us. That would put us at the beginning of December, which could be timely because we could see kind of what, if there's holiday planning, see what kind of how our situation has evolved and what we're looking at forward into the new year. And Courtney, correct me if I'm wrong, but by then they should have an idea about who's in your role moving into the new year.
Yeah, so I would say in the beginning of December, you would not see me sitting here, but my replacement sitting here. So that would be a good opportunity to meet them, and I hope to do some transitioning with them as well, with introducing them to the committee and stuff, even just via email, and then you would see their face on camera at early December. Or if December is not convenient for the busyness of the month, January would be sufficient as well.
Okay. I would say because we usually aim for early in the month, we could aim for December, and if things come up or if it doesn't look like it's going to work, then we can look at pushing to January. But I would suggest our next meeting be on that regularly scheduled. I think it's typically the first Wednesday that we go with the month of December, which I think this year would put us on December 1st. So if we can kind of put that into our calendars, excellent. Okay. And Courtney, I know like none of this needs to be said, but on behalf of the committee, I mean, we're so excited for you, and because you know all this stuff, and you've done such a great job, and you've taken this youth center to such an amazing new level over the time that you've been working with it so far. And again, we're excited for your next step, but also excited to have you back after your leave, so that you can resume some of the awesome things that you've been doing with the youth in this community over the last few years.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's certainly been a whole team effort. It's not, I wouldn't be here hearing the nice things you guys have to say if you hadn't started this venture so many years ago. So it really is a team effort. So I appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing everybody in a year from now.
Hopefully maskless. So if that's it, then I guess all we need is a motion for an adjournment. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Robert, seconded by Caroline. All in favor? All right, this is adjourned. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here today. And again, I apologize for being late, and we look forward to seeing you folks in December.